Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Super Bowl podcast episode number 40. We are super excited to continue this thing, man. 40 episodes is pretty cool, pretty exciting, and we're just lucky that the Lord has given us this opportunity. Well, we've got a pretty special one for you guys here for episode 40. We've got Casey Shaw, assistant coach for Grand Canyon University, and really a big faith pillar for that GCU men's basketball program. Just super pumped to talk to you today. Thanks for coming on.
Man, I'm honored to be here on episode 40. That makes me feel special, so thank you so much.
Absolutely. We've got a lot planned today. Of course, we like to start off with a sports segment to kind of ice break this conversation. And today, we haven't told Coach Shaw what we're doing yet, but we are going to name high schools. Okay. And these high schools are where players that have played for you went.
Oh, man. Okay.
And it's just GCU players.
Okay.
In your time.
Okay.
And here's what we're thinking. The goal is for you to get 3 points. We're going to give you 5 high schools.
5 high schools, okay.
3 points. If you can get it based just purely off the name of the high school, you get a point.
Okay.
If you need the state, and then you get a half a point.
Okay.
And
good.
Tough.
All right, this is going to be really tough.
Yeah.
And for fun, if you can't get it, I'd love to hear David rip off a random guy because I think that'd be funny. I mean, you know basically every guy the last.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
As we said to Coach Drew, same thing with Coach Shaw.
Did Coach Drew get it done? Did he get
He did something else.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But as we told him,
He rated our jump shots actually,
he did.
and it was a tough showing
good
for
one.
me, but it was fun.
Yeah. As we told him, though, I mean, your time here at GCU is the exact same time that we got here. So it's fun. It's fun to kind of see that parallel, and we've gotten to support you guys as long as you've been here. So,
that's awesome.
Here we go.
All
We'll
right.
give you your first high school.
Now I gotta like preface this. We recruit AAU programs more than we recruit high schools, so this is gonna be really tough for me.
Yeah.
You know, this is gonna be really hard.
And I'm guessing this kind of went through my head when I was preparing this. I'm guessing you also probably don't really care too much about the high schools of transfers.
Right. You never look at that. You have no idea.
There might be a
Oh,
transfer.
is there
or two
going
in
to be
there.
transfers in there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so tough.
Let's see how much
have
research
to call
you're
out the
doing.
states. There's no doubt. All right, here we go. 3 points. That's all I need.
All right, here we
The
go.
camera rolling. We're here to stump you.
That's right.
Let's do
This
it.
will be fun.
The first high school is Cedarburg.
Cedarburg. These could be any, not the current players. These could be anybody.
That's played for you at GCU.
I'm going to guess Logan Landers.
You got it.
Yes!
Oh!
Wow, that was a total guess. But
Okay.
I'm thinking Wisconsin. Cedarburg has to be a Wisconsin high school.
It sure is.
Yes.
Wow. That was
Is
impressive.
there anybody else from Wisconsin?
Anybody? Oh, boy.
Putting them on the
I
spot.
can't think of
been
one.
here. You know what? There was a former player. Was Michael Finke? He's before you guys even.
Don't ask me.
That's
Don't
back
ask
in the,
me.
Yeah. I don't think so. Wisconsin, I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, that was smart thinking. There.
All right,
I
all
like how
right.
you,
Dorman, was
Got
that
one.
one of the harder ones or one of the easier
We'll find
ones?
out, I guess. but
that one I was not expecting him.
Okay. So you're on,
he's on good
start.
pace.
All
Yeah.
right. All right.
I think there's a couple he'll get.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, he might go 5 for 5 here. Actually,
No, there's
I
no
think
way.
that was the toughest one.
Okay. All right.
All
Let's
right.
see.
Brewster Academy.
Brewster. Hold on a second. Let me think. Let me think here. Man, didn't Marquise go to? No, he didn't go to Brewster.
You have any idea? You thinking about
I
it?
have no.
clue.
I'm just gonna. If it comes to me, I'll just
I'm
say
thinking.
somebody
Okay,
completely random.
so East Coast, Brewster Academy. I mean, I know Gabe went to, but he didn't go to Brewster. He went to. Hold on.
I'm not giving him anything. He was.
You
trying
can't
he
do
was
it.
trying
You can't give me anything. Hold on here. Let me see. I'm gonna go with.
Hey, and also, I don't know what I didn't think too far ahead here, but do we give him another opportunity when he asks for the state, or do we give him the state? Does he have to ask for the state before he guesses? Does he only get one guess? What are we thinking here, guys?
I'm cool
I think
to,
he
I'm
needs
cool
to ask before he
Yeah.
guesses.
All right,
Yeah,
so-
that works.
You could take the risk, or you could ask for the state, which could help, or maybe it
Lock it
doesn't
down.
help, and you can get half a point.
I can't believe I'm gonna go with Chance McMillan.
Okay. Brewster Academy is from Indiana, which is Walter Ellis.
Walter.
Walt!
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Shout
I
out
did
to
not
Walt.
have Walt in my mind at all.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I think
Darn.
Indiana would have helped you, though. There's a couple options at Indiana, but
yeah. But you know, gosh, Walter's another transfer.
Yeah,
and
is.
you know,
Yeah,
so
he
that
is.
I didn't even know. You know, we didn't recruit him.
for you is Bucknell, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, that was a good one. That was a good one.
This next one, you're gonna know how
I
to.
didn't even know he went to, yeah, okay, go ahead.
This one, bear with me on this one. Actually, no, I'll read it.
Oh.
I thought it might be funny if you read it, but I'll read it.
Yeah, I did. To spare the people.
Grisine Bon Reggio Emilia.
Wow, that was good.
You got to say it again.
Yeah.
Grisine, and I could be completely butchering, probably am. Bon Reggio Emilia.
That has to be it. Alessandro Lever.
Yeah, you got it.
That is
Reggio Emilia.
yeah.
Reggio Emilia.
Yeah.
I knew that's it.
Yeah.
Come on, that was easy. I lived in Italy for 10 years,
Yeah.
man.
Let's
That's
talk about
easy.
that. I mean, we're in this segment
I got
right
2
now,
points
but-
up, by the way. Come
Yeah,
on now.
yeah.
All right.
Tell us
Write
about
it
your
down.
time in Italy. I mean, I'd like to. I figured you would know that because of your time in Italy, but had to throw it in. There.
I've played in that gym actually. My first year in Italy, there's a team. So in Italy, you know, they you got all kinds of levels. Well, A1 is the top level, and when I first went over there, you could have 2 Americans per team in Serie A, which is A1. You can only have 2 Americans. And so that team was in the top league. But the crazy thing, so they don't have colleges or high schools sports over there. So if you're somebody like Ale, right, you're a good player, you're coming up in high school, you go to the pro club. So these guys will leave home at like 14 years old. And they'll go, so like he went to Reggio Emilia, he's in the pro system, practice with the team. Now he won't play. I never played. You know, obviously, but you have young guys on your team. So like even on my team, I'd go to, you'd have a couple Americans, a couple other foreigners, and then we might have a 17, 18-year-old kid that every once in a while they'd bring up to practice with you. And that's how they do it. So you don't go to, now Ali obviously came to America, he came to GCU, came to college, but he was in the youth system of that pro club. So that's why I played in that gym. So yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, very
Wow.
cool.
So I guess it wasn't a high school, but
It's
the similar.
now he's got to take classes and stuff while he's there. So I guess you could call it a high school.
okay.
Yeah.
But the Reggio Emilia, that one, I got that one. That
Yeah.
was good.
He's
Oh,
looking
yeah.
good. 2
Yeah.
more to go. He's looking
Yeah,
good.
he just needs and 2 very gettable ones, I think. All
All right.
right, here's a high school we've probably all heard of. AZ Compass Prep.
Oh, Compass. Okay, hold on. Let me. Yeah, obviously we've heard it. Who went to Compass? Oh, Sammy Yene
Yeah,
went
that's
to
right.
Compass.
That's right.
Do we have another one? Is he the only one?
Don't ask me.
He probably is the only one. I think he is the
I
only
think
one.
so, too.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually some
Sammy,
really good
yeah.
players coming out of
Yeah.
Compass.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Top 100. Yeah.
That's
Nice
right.
job.
So he's
Yeah.
already hit his goal. This is just for
This is
bragging
just
rights.
bonus. This
Yeah.
is just bonus.
Bragging rights
Miss
right here.
Walter, I can't believe it. He's
All
going to be mad.
Oh, yeah.
Here's our final one, and we're big Walter fans here.
Yeah, we are.
Walter sat in on an episode.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
Always keeps in touch with us, which is cool. All right, final one here is Bashaw.
That's Gabe.
Yes.
Gabe
that's
went to Bash. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
I
All
was
right.
Hoping, I was hoping you weren't going to say
Wow.
it at the end because you were trying to figure out what Gabe's was earlier, and I was like,
That's
he's just
right.
going to say it.
But Gabe went to a post-grad because he went to Army and then he went to a post-grad. I was thinking of that post-grad on the East when you said Brewster. It was, I can't remember where he went, but I was waiting for you to say Valley Christian, which is where Caleb Shaw went to to high school. That would have been one I could have
Yeah.
gotten.
Easy. Too easy.
That's right.
A layup. Yeah.
4 out of 5 right there.
Boom. Wow.
If we give you the
Impressive.
state,
Praise the
Indiana,
Lord, man. I was praying so hard coming into this. So God bless me.
I'd say he had a better performance than Coach Drew in his trivia. Wouldn't you say?
Whoa.
Ooh, that's
What was Coach
Oh,
Drew's
no,
trivia
it was
again?
a starting 5 video, wasn't it? Him making
yeah.
a starting 5.
Oh, yeah, he
it
did
wasn't
do
a
trivia.
trivia.
Wow,
Yeah.
His starting
that's a
5.
crazy shot at Coach Drew right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
You guys,
He
I know you
didn't
guys
even-
probably go back and
Oh,
forth.
man.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Well, all right, that was an awesome segment. 4 for 5 for Coach Shaw. Now we'd love to talk about this team. I mean, this
Yeah.
is the most exciting that the fan base has ever been about a GCU basketball team ever.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a program that's won at every level, but now we're at the highest level of Division I, and starting to truly treat everything like we are a power team, right? And
Yeah.
that started with you and Coach Drew arriving here in Phoenix. So could you just kind of talk about, man, what an opportunity it is for you to be a coach here at Grand Canyon, and kind of the unique nature of the job.
Yeah.
And then also, we'd love to hear about what this year's team's looking like.
Sure. No, it's an awesome place to work. I was at Vandy with Coach, and Nashville's a great city, and obviously Vanderbilt's an academic school. But to go in there and to build a program, it was a struggle because we couldn't be who we wanted to be. I didn't feel like Coach Drew could really run the program the way that he wanted to because there wasn't the support for the mission that we have as coaches. The staff that he puts together, which is we want to develop young men, obviously. Lead them to Christ, show them what it means to be a man of faith, give them a vision to not just be a champion on the court, but to be a great husband and a father and a leader. And at Vanderbilt, it's a different dynamic. It was a different field. And so I remember, so after Vanderbilt, I coached a year in high school, and I was coaching at a private high school. My boys, Isaiah and Caleb. Isaiah was a junior. Caleb was a sophomore. Luke was coming up. He was an 8th grader, and we had a blast. I mean, we were running around. We broke all these school records. We were winning games, going to the states, and it was so much fun. It was the most fun I've ever had coaching. And I remember, so Bryce interviewed for this job, and he got it, and he called me and he said, will you come with me? And I said, I don't know if I want to jump back into that. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to, I'm having fun where I'm at, and I'm enjoying the opportunity that I have here to do really why I wanted to get into coaching. Why the whole point of this is discipleship. That's what I want. I want discipleship. And he's like, you just got to hear about GCU. And so he kind of went through the whole story and he shared about what President Mueller had told him, and it just seemed like an opportunity was too good to pass up. And so we came out here, and I'll be honest, it's been even better. It's exceeded expectations. The support, obviously, from the fans and the students and the campus as a whole is incredible. But we've got an administration that loves basketball, and they love what we're doing as a staff. So we got to be great coaches because they want a top 50 program, and to do that, you have to have discipline, accountability, toughness. But we can do it in a way. They also support us to develop these guys, to get them out into the campus community, to share their faith, and we can recruit the kind of kids that we want to recruit, so we want to coach. Coming from the families that they do, and so it's been fantastic. I think Bryce has had opportunities, because we've had success. Right. But the reality is, it's like, why would you leave a place like this when you can do, everything that we want to do? We can build a program that is a consistent winner and championship caliber team, while at the same time giving these guys a platform, planting seeds for the rest of their life, for the rest of eternity, really. And that's the beautiful part. It's the best part of our job, of what we get to do. So. Totally. Yeah, it's an awesome spot, man. We love it. It's great.
I mean, you just got me fired up. I know when you came and spoke at FCA recently, you talked about a competitive advantage for Christian athletes.
Yeah.
And in your coaching style, how do you instill that into your athletes? You kind of got on to it a second ago.
Yeah. Okay, so for me personally, I played 13 years as a pro. 5 years in college, obviously. So, had a long career and had every type of coach you can imagine. Coaches that would just cuss you up and down, coaches that would, whatever, every style you can imagine. And I always felt like I was playing my best when I was the most confident. And I was playing loose and free and I could go out there and I could just be me and just play really hard, really tough, and didn't have to worry about, looking over my shoulder all the time and stuff like that. And so now I feel like that's translated. And, obviously Bryce played, in the NBA. He was a professional player, played a long time, had a great career. As former players, I think the one thing we can do is we can come in and we can say, listen, this is how I know I played my best, and we're going to give that to these guys. And so, so part of our culture, we have a culture of, of excellence. I mean, we want to have discipline, like I said. We want to have physical toughness. We want to have accountability to each other. We want to have a great togetherness and a unity of playing for each other, a selflessness. But the reality is all of these things that we're trying to, they're biblical principles, right? It's being selfless in your life, having character, caring about the guy next to you more than you care about your own stats and your own selfish ambition and your own, future opportunities, you're dying to self in a sense. And then when it comes to discipline and like I said, accountability, I mean, we need to have that in our own Christian walk. And so it's very easy to take biblical principles and apply them to our program as coaches. So we try to do that, and at the same time, we have a this has been a year. This comes all the way down from Homer Drew, which is a no cussing rule, and that's, if you ever came and watched our practice, if players are doing push-ups, there might even be a coach doing a push-ups every once in a while, but that goes for everybody,
Yeah.
So what the hope is that it gives guys incredible confidence. They don't have to play with any fear of failure or fear of expectations or anything like that. They can really rely on each other. And, they just know, like, man, I can go out here and I can just be me and I can play as hard and as tough. And I don't have to worry about letting anybody down or failing or anything like that. And so that's the kind of culture we want. And with old guys like our team this year, we've gotten really old. So, we've got 5 fifth-year guys, basically,
yeah.
And that's the name of the game in college basketball. Tyon, obviously, he's like 25 years old. You got, Rayshon's a fifth-year guy. Simo's a fifth-year guy. Jacoby's a fifth-year guy. Luke's a fifth-year guy. So we're really old, and that is, in this NIL era and transfer portal era, if you can get old and kind of stay old, it's the most important thing. One of the best things we did as coaching staff is we kept those guys. We got them to come back.
Yep.
We got them to believe and buy in. Because I'll be honest with you, pretty much all of those guys could have got more money somewhere else. And they all, Duke included, they all said, you know what, I don't need to take as much money. I like where I'm at. I like playing in this program.
Sure.
And I want to be a part of this. It's special. So we got all those guys back, and expectations are high, but
of course.
But it's fun, and we've got the tools to be really special. Have a really special year.
Totally,
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all incredible stuff. I think it's cool coming from a player perspective. What do you think has been the biggest challenge coming from playing the game of basketball to coaching the game of basketball?
Yeah.
And what's something coaching has taught you that maybe the game of basketball just playing wouldn't have?
Yeah. So as a player. Well, I'm 6'10", and back in the 90s when I played, big guys were you were big. You're just a big guy. You set screens, you rebound.
Sure.
You play tough, and you're wrestling in the paint pretty much the whole time. So that was kind of my game, and I got drafted by the Sixers in '98. I was the 37th draft pick overall, and in that draft class was a guy named Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
That was a great draft class, by the way. Bryce was actually in that draft. We were both drafted the
Really?
same year.
Yeah,
he was the 16th pick. I was the 37th pick. And but there were a lot of good players in that. Vince Carter and Paul Pierce and Dirk Nowitzki, Mike Bibby.
Yeah. Wow.
You could go down the line of guys that were really, really good. But Dirk, to me, he really changed the game. You had guys before that like Tony Kukoc, who was kind of a taller wing, but Dirk Nowitzki really changed it for big guys. Whereas it was like, now you got to be skilled, and so all that to say, now the game is different for especially guys in my position. But at the time, as a player, you really just worry about your position. You worry about, what you have to do and kind of your job. As a coach, you got to know what everybody's doing on both teams. And so being able to watch the game from a standpoint of like, the best advice I ever got was, as a coach, when you watch a game, watch everything but the ball. Don't look at the ball. Don't ever watch the ball. So you're watching everything else that's moving and what they're doing and what every position is doing. And so that was the adjustment I made. I think something that I learned. But that's a great question. I think having been a player for so long, it helps me a lot as a coach to be able just to relate, see what guys are going through, understand kind of the pressures and the feelings after a game. If you play a bad game, being able to encourage guys with, hey, like, I know it's probably going to be a sleepless night, but
Right.
listen, we got another game coming up. You can let this one go, and because once you hit 30, I played till I was 36. I got to 30. It was like your whole mental approach to the game completely changes. And I think that's some of the best things that I can give to these young players is some of the mental lessons that I learned after I was old. So,
What were some of those mental lessons?
well, it's funny, man. I've got 4 kids. My daughter was born when I was 25. All 4 of them were born when I was playing overseas.
Okay.
Isaiah's the only one that was born over there. He was born in Rome. But you know, I tell you what happens is when you get to, you know, so I'm 30 years old. I could go to practice and I could have a coach yelling and screaming at me and just, you know, giving me the business, or I could go to a game and I play a bad game and you got fans that aren't happy. Yeah. You know, remember, you don't have two Americans. So you know, you had to get your numbers. You had to do, you know, you do your job. Otherwise, they're like, well, let's just go get another American. So get rid of him. So you might have fans getting after you. But you go home, and no matter what, you know, you got these 4 little kids that when I open that door, like, I'm Superman. No matter what. You know, I'm the greatest, like, I'm the biggest, strongest man on the planet, you know. Like, and so it's like, you know, you go and you see, it's like, you know what, it puts it all into perspective. Yeah. And it just takes it back to my faith, which is, you know what, God's probably looking down like, Case, I got you. Like I'm proud of you. Like, just go play hard. Like, play for me. Play for an audience of one. That's kind of something that I think, I don't know if FCA athletes or who came up with the audience of one thing, but just going out there and playing for him and so, you know, I think helping these young guys, they put so much pressure on themselves. And today, in this era of social media, I don't know how they do it. It's really, really hard. People don't understand how difficult it is. I mean, like, so it is really hard on these players. And everybody thinks, oh, they're these big, tough guys. Man, it's hard. And you get criticized. And now that you got gambling, you add all that in. So these guys are getting hit by people who are mad that we missed the spread or whatever, however that works. And it's a real thing. And so I just try to point the guys to Jesus to say, you know what, this is bigger. You know, there's a different perspective you can have with all of this that will free you from the idolatry of sports and from the you know, this is the craziness of it. You know, honestly, I don't know if that makes sense, but
totally.
And something cool with our podcast, I think you kind of hit on it, is a little bit of players at times, from a fan's perspective, can seem like the superheroes, right? Can seem like they're in their own league, but I think when we have people sit down in this studio, we really get to see the human side of everyone, right? The players, who they're just normal dudes. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing.
Of course.
Like, I mean, it's crazy how the world today, there's so much hate and division, honestly, that goes around. But it's like, man, nobody's, you know, got it all figured out. Nobody's this. Right. And even you can be the greatest basketball player of all time, and you're still going to get hate. It's crazy how it works, but
it is.
It's cool to kind of see. I mean, everybody walks in with a different story. Everybody walks in with a different past. I mean, it's incredible to kind of see how, you know, we really are all together and in this together, you know.
Yeah. One of the things lately I've been trying to do with the guys is, like, we get practice and it's like, man, you know, just come in to practice with the mindset like you're just going to get better. Like, you're just going to come in and do your job. It's a job, you know. You know, just come in and then when you step over the lines to get in on this floor, you're all in with your effort and your desire to get better. And by the way, that allows you to be coachable. So if coach criticizes you or makes you do another rep or makes you go again or hold you accountable by sending you to the sideline to do the Stairmaster or whatever, you're not offended by that. Don't be offended. None of this is, don't take it personal. Don't take coaching personal. You're just coming in, you're doing your job, and nobody expects you to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. The better you get, the higher the standard we're going to raise. We're going to keep raising the standard. And you know what? You'll never hit it. So just come out and just be great. And that's that takes a mental fortitude, because if you're not mentally tough, like, you'll get offended. You'll take it, you know, why is coach on me? Why are they yelling at me? Why are they picking on me? Why are they doing this or that? And so that's actually, even in this last week, it's been a couple of guys just trying to say, hey, guy, listen, you know, coach is going to get on you because he believes this much in you, and he knows you can be better, and he knows that, you know, you haven't reached your full potential. So we're going to get you there. So anyways, you know, you can let off some of that pressure and kind of not carry that weight as much, I think. So
I got a question for you. I just feel like, as an assistant coach across the country, you could just be an assistant coach, but it's pretty clear from conversations we've had with others, from what you're saying right now, that you're also that mentor figure, that at least you're there for guys, whether they choose to go to you or not. How does that change your day to day? Is it just basketball for you, or are you involved in different ways in these guys' lives?
Well, no, that's actually a great question, because I've had people ask me, like, you know, you're an assistant coach. what's your, is your ambition to go be a head coach?
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously I played at Toledo. Like there's some places where I'd be like, man, that'd be really cool to go back, to be a head coach. But I'll be honest, I've turned down agents and turned down opportunities because I absolutely love the role that I have.
That's cool.
Because here's the reality, and you guys may not, I don't know if your listeners understand this, but like the head coach has to put everybody on edge when you walk in the gym. And honestly, kind of be a jerk. Like how do you get, like when those guys walk in the gym, how do you get them so on edge that they are just like so, you have to get them so worked up and so and have such an incredible attention to detail. So you got to get on them and you got to yell at them and you got to, my role, I don't have to do that. I don't have to be the jerk. I don't ever have to be sometimes I will be the bad guy if a guy needs to be chewed out or something, light a fire on him. We all need that sometimes.
And it probably means more when you get that. That probably surprises them.
It does. You know what? Honestly, yeah. Actually, I got after the guys a few weeks ago after we played a game, and a couple of guys came up and they were like, wow, like that was so shocking. But it does matter. But most of the time, honestly, that only happens a few times a year, if that. Yeah. Most of the time, I can be the good cop, and I come alongside the guys. I put my arm around them. I say, hey man, hey coach, he's just trying to get you better. Like, hey, don't worry about it. You're doing awesome, man. Just keep working. And then at the end, the other part of that is now the guys think like, man, like Coach Shaw, man, he's the best. He's so great. He's so nice. Like I can't stand Coach Drew. I hate him. Well, that's because again the head coach has to do that. And then I get to lead our team times and our chapels and get to build into the guys from a spiritual standpoint. I love that role. And the reality is, I know if I wanted to be a head coach, in order to be good, that I can't do. There has to be a separation from the head coach and the players. They can't feel comfortable around me. Mm-hmm. They can't step on the floor and feel like they can just kind of go through the motions. Because if that's what they feel like, then I'm going to allow them. If I allow them to have that little bit, the players will take it. I know that as a former player. Like if you give them an inch, they'll take them out. So you have to be on them. And it's Bryce is amazing at it because if he's sitting in here with us just hanging out, he's as good a guy as you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've known Bryce since 1994. That's when we first met. He was a senior in high school, and he's a great guy. We've been teammates together.
Explain? I mean, I don't know if all of our viewers know exactly why you guys are so close and have a connection. Yeah. I know that's kind of interrupting your point.
No, it's a great story. I played at Toledo. And I'll never forget, at Toledo, my head coach came to me and he said, hey, we got a big-time recruit coming in. All right, in fact, he's like a 5-star Indiana Mr. Basketball. This is as big a recruit as Toledo's ever had. He's coming in for an official visit. And I'm a freshman. And he says, oh, I want you to host him for the weekend. And it's Bryce Drew. Well, Bryce Drew came on an official visit to Toledo for one reason. That's because his older sister, Dana, played at Toledo. She was on the women's team. She was a point guard on the women's team. Bryce just wanted to come and hang out with his sister for a weekend. There's no chance he was coming to Toledo. So the first time I met Bryce was on his official visit. He was senior in high school to come to Toledo. And I got to hang out with his sister the whole weekend, which was the best thing that was possible for me. Like, this was a win-win. This was awesome. I got to hang out with Bryce's sister, Dana, for a weekend, which obviously ultimately became my wife. And so that was in 94. Dana and I started to date shortly thereafter, and we were married in 95. I was married in college. I was married at age 20.
Yeah.
So
age 20?
Yeah, we're coming up on 30 years being married.
Congrats.
Yeah,
I hit the wife lottery, guys. I'm not gonna lie, man. You guys, I'll tell you, listen, I don't know. None of you guys are married, right? No. So all right, that's the key, man. That's the second biggest decision in your life. But if you can hit the wife lottery like I did, man, it's a great life.
So during the official visit, were you selling Toledo hard, or did you kind of know his posture?
Not at all. I knew he wasn't coming. I mean, he literally went from like us to Syracuse to Clemson, where Rick Barnes was coaching.
Oh yeah.
I think Notre Dame was one of his. And then, of course, Valpo, which I think at the end of the day, he was probably always going to go play for his dad at Valpo. But yeah, so we've known each other forever. We played. He came after his 6 years in the NBA. he played in Europe for a year, so we played a little bit together overseas. And we trained together, so we've been pretty close for a long time. 30 years,
Right.
30
Right.
years.
You could say you've been married to both of them.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
true. It's true. When you, being part of the Drew family has been one of the greatest blessings of my life. Homer, obviously, my father-in-law is an awesome man, a God, and an incredible coach. Learned so much from him. Getting to see Scott's work ethic and his drive to be the best that there is. He's second to none when it comes to just his drive to perfection, and then just getting to see Bryce and the way that he runs a program. I've never seen somebody with such character and integrity as Bryce Drew. GCU is so blessed to have a man that just he is as good as it gets when it comes to. He's a perfect fit. He's a perfect fit for what GCU wants to be about. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Let's pause it real quick. Just double check here because
Yep.
that was a lot of good stuff that I hope you got.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Man.
I always love to see it rolling.
Let's
Still
go.
rolling? Still
Still
good?
rolling.
All right.
No problems.
I did not know that
Oh.
he went on an official visit with you.
Yeah, and by the way, if I'm talking too much, you guys just jump
Dude,
in.
no,
Just
you're-
This is
shut
this
it
is
down.
your
This is how we want
okay.
to go.
All right.
They know us.
get out of your spotlight.
Should we? Actually, I have a question to continue. Unless you guys want to build on that point at all.
This is going great. I think we
Yeah.
just continue
Cool.
where we're going.
All right. Well, continuing on, you mentioned Scott at Baylor, and
Yep.
this season, before this season, there was a secret scrimmage that people have heard about now
Yeah.
between Grand Canyon and Baylor.
You're going
Uh,
there, huh?
I'm going there. I'm going there for a specific reason, though, because I've been told that you led a chapel with both teams.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you are allowed to talk about it, want to talk about it,
no,
but
happy to.
I'd love to hear how that went and just the overall experience with all the family that I'm sure was there for that game.
I was really, really grateful and honored that because Scott is the one that asked. Scott has resources down there. I mean, he could call anybody, and he could call any pastor he wants, and they would come down and speak. And so he was really kind to just say, hey, let's have Casey do it for both teams. And so we had both teams, but we also had donors. There were donors and boosters who went on that trip because we were able to raise some resources for both programs through that trip. It was on a beautiful ranch. The thing that Scott has kind of built his program around is joy. He wrote a book, I think it's called The Road to Joy, about some of his seasons at Baylor. And in fact, that's actually, it's funny. I think it might even be part of his testimony, but putting Jesus first, others second, yourself third. And so when you go into their arena, when you go into their program, you're going to see joy. You're going to see the joy on T-shirts, and you're going to see joy on. In fact, I was watching film. They have a brand new practice facility, and there's the national championship logo on their practice facility, and underneath is joy. It's like 2021 when they won it, and joy. And so we've talked about joy. In fact, I think I got a T-shirt under this one that says joy on it. And so I thought that'll be cool. Let's talk about joy and like what it really means. To play with joy. How do you go out and do that as a student athlete? What does that look like? How do you do that? And so that was kind of the message, and I think I hopefully it resonated with the players from both teams, because it's like, man, this is something I can grab a hold of, and I used a passage, and gosh, it's been a little while here, so I'm trying to go back to the passage which was in Hebrews. And it says something to this effect. It's not going to be perfect, but it says, consider Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame. There's a little bit more to that verse but I didn't quote it
You didn't have to tell us that.
perfectly.
It
But you
sounded
know
right.
which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so it was just awesome to be able to say, like look at this is what joy is, Jesus who was selfless and died on a cross, for us, and we can look to him and the example of. So, anyways, that was kind of it. I don't remember everything exactly, But I tell you, I love getting a chance to do chapels and team times. It's something Scott does in his program. It's something Bryce has always done in his. Here at GCU, we're able to make it mandatory, so the guys have to come. But we make it enjoyable. We make it fun, and it's a great time to dive into the Word and see how we can take these principles and this application and put it into our lives on the court and off the court. So yeah.
How cool has it been to see guys grow in their faith? And some might have graduated now, especially these guys here at GCU. There's a couple that come to my mind that I know just took significant jumps in their faith walks when they came through the program. How cool is it for you to see that and see the fruits like in person?
It's amazing. I mean, the best part is like seeing guys come back, because sometimes you don't always see the fruit in the moment, but a lot of times you're just I found that like if I can just be faithful to pray for each one of these players, be prayerful in how in the message that we're giving these guys, whether it's in team time or even just little nuggets, and helping them get through the storms and the adversities of a season, because there's a lot of them. It's just beautiful, and I've got pictures in my office, and it's like my favorite pictures are of guys getting married, inviting me to their wedding, or just like just seeing moments where like I've got pictures of us praying in the locker room together. I'm going to get a picture of Jason Amador getting baptized. It's those kind of moments throughout the season that just are so incredible, so impactful and powerful, and that's why I'm in coaching. I'll just share real quick. When I retired from playing, I was kind of ready to just get away from basketball a little bit. You do it your whole life, and
of course.
And I was 36 years old, so I was like, okay, I'm going to step out of this for at least a second. And I started working for an investment management firm in Chicago, and I did that for a few years, and I made really good money and did a good job, but I just missed I missed like when as a player, like being in a locker room with your brothers, kind of going to war together, and the opportunities you get to share your faith and see it being seeing guys grow, and just like it was like, man, I missed it so much. And so it was like getting back into coaching. That's the part that I love. It's like seeing guys growing up, and as you guys know, like this age in college at GCU, this is when you're making the most the biggest decisions of your life. And who are you as a man? Who are you going to follow? Who are you going to marry? This is the biggest decision, and we get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So
totally.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Jason Amador story? He's obviously a walk-on this season.
Yeah.
And as you told me a little bit earlier, he came to you looking to get baptized, which had to have been just a really cool moment.
Yeah. This is amazing, and I haven't shared this with anybody but my wife. So before the season, it goes kind of along with what I was just saying, but we started. My wife and I, sometimes we'll pray for the guys, and we'll do, and we were sitting there one day, and this was probably in August, and I just said, I said, boy, it would be so awesome. I was like, I'm just going to ask the Lord that, like, God, like, I know we're planting seeds. I know we're having an impact. The biggest thing for this season, man, I'd love to see one of these guys just really give their life to Jesus and be baptized. And I remember specifically saying that, because this season, like last year, we had Gabe and Noah and Isaiah. Like we had guys like who really loved the Lord and were really pushing to grow in their faith. And I mean, these guys were kind of evangelists. They really loved Jesus. And this season, we were coming into it. It's like, I don't know that we necessarily have one of those guys. That's like, that I could see like being in full-time ministry one day. That's not to say God's not going to do that, but it was just like, So my prayer was like, God, like do a work that we see, we actually see like you move in somebody's heart to where they just want to just dive all in for Jesus. And so I specifically said, God, I'd love to see somebody get baptized. So we had a game. We were playing, I think it was Norfolk State, and it was an important game. We just lost 2 in a row. We got beat by Arizona State. We got beat by UC Davis. This is an incredible game that we had to win. And Norfolk State was playing good. And so we're in the warm-ups. I'd done a chapel that day, and really had challenged the guys. And so we were in warm-ups, and I just walked out on the floor of warm-ups. I mean, there's Havocs around, stuff like that, and cheerleaders on the, they're doing their thing, and Jason grabbed me and he's like, Coach, he's like, I'm ready to dive in all for Jesus, and I want to take the next steps of my faith and be baptized. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I knew, like, I specifically prayed for this moment.
Yeah.
That one of these guys, God would grab a hold of their heart. I didn't know who that was. In fact, it was crazy because I remember talking to Jason this summer, and I was outlining how hard it would be as a walk. I was trying to talk him out of it. Like, man, go somewhere else and play, because you're never going to play here. But, and you have no idea. And so the moment when he said that, it just hit me, man. I just almost started weeping out there on the court, and I just was like so grateful that God would be moving on our team, like in this small way. So talked to Coach Drew. That was on Friday. I talked to Coach. I said, Coach, I told Jason, I said, hey man, I was like, this is awesome. We're not gonna wait. In my own faith journey, I gave my life to Christ in '95, and I had only been a Christian for about 2 weeks. And this pastor found out that I became a Christian, so he's like, hey, I got this youth group that meets. This was like junior high kids. And he's like, can you share a few words? And I had no idea what to say. I didn't know a Bible verse. I didn't know nothing. But I knew, I just went in, and I remember I was telling the junior high kids, I was like, guys, I don't know what happened to me, but I know it's real. And I know God is real. And I can't stop reading this Bible because I feel like it's a love letter. It's written directly to me. I can't stop reading it. That was my message. And at the end, the pastor comes up to me and he said, have you ever been baptized? I said, no. And he said, well, there's a pool right out here. So I got baptized in front of like 30 junior high kids. Right there, I was like, yeah, let's do it right now.
Wow.
And so I told Jason, I said, Jason, if you're ready to get baptized, we're not going to wait. Let's do it. Let's go, right now. So that was Friday. We played the game Friday. We had a great, played so good. And probably the best game we've played. You guys might have, probably the best game we've played since I've been at GCU. We had 31 assists on like 33 field goals.
I was statting that game. I was like, assist.
Just shared the ball, played for each other. Yeah. It was amazing. It was wonderful. And then I talked to Coach. I was like, let's do it the Saturday, and he said, let's do it on Sunday because we had to practice that day. We were getting ready to leave, so we had a game, so we had to practice on a Sunday, which Coach doesn't like to do, but
of course,
it just schedule wise we had to. So he's like, well, we'll kind of do a church service with the guys, and I thought it was a great testimony for Jason to give, because he shared a little bit with the player, with his teammates, to do it in front of his brothers. Awesome experience. It was amazing. So praise God, man. I'm so grateful to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I imagine when you're in the later years of your life and you look back on your coaching career, those moments, those nuggets, where the spiritual movements where God just moved, I feel like that's what you're going to remember most about your coaching career. Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No doubt. So a couple of years ago, you guys might remember, we did not have a great season. We lost to UTRGV at home, and that was Ray's first year. Yeah. And Walter Ellis was on that team. We had those guys, and we got to the end of season. And if you ask any one of those guys about the end of the season, because we won our last 6 games. We had to win 4 games in 5 nights, I think, in the WAC tournament to go to the NCAA tournament.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. But here's what people don't know outside of the program. We went our last 2 games of the regular season was a road trip to Utah. And so we played, I think, Southern Utah and maybe Utah Valley. And we won those 2 games, and we were the 5th seed, and then we had to win 4 games. So we won our last 6 games. And again, it was a tough season. But we started in chapel on that Utah trip. And you could just feel the Spirit of the Lord like just moving in the hearts of our players. And you could see it almost like manifesting in the sense of they were coming together. They were playing more for each other, more selflessness and togetherness. And so we won those 2 games in Utah, and then we went to the WAC tournament. And usually what we'll do as a staff is we'll break up the chapels, like I'll take one and different coach or whatever. And for this one, it was awesome because, Coach Drew was like, he's like, Case, like, take them. And so so I got to do chapels all through there. But we just went through the it was kind of like a message. It's like kind of like going through the Old Testament. I can't remember. Obviously we had one. We started. I'm not going to get into it. It would take too long to go through the story of it. But I will say this: guys have come back from that team, guys like Walter and stuff, and they still remember those.
Yeah.
And when we won that last game in Vegas, and we were going to the NCAA tournament, I remember we were on the bus, and it was Walt. It was in the back, and he starts. He's yelling. I mean, we celebrate. It's awesome, right? You got the confetti and all that. He's in the back of the bus, and he's like, shout out to Joshua, shout out to David, and all these chapels that we had done together as a team, all these guys we talked about in the Old Testament, all the guys they started like cheering, right, about these things that we had done, and Gideon and whatever. I mean, I don't know, we had done a bunch of to your point, I mean, those are the memories we have, and those are the things that actually the guys do remember too. It was like, man, they saw God move, It was like you look, every one of those players will look back and say, man, I don't know, like God did something there. That was God, like Kobe Knox went 6 for 6 threes against Sam Houston. It's like God, like, okay, that's God. Like, come on.
That's so sweet. Yeah. I mean, the cool thing is, and you might not know this, but that's like the 4th version of that story we've heard.
I was about to say.
Every time, because Ray told the story. Not necessarily in the same way.
Yeah.
Gabe ran through that and just told us how magical it was.
Yeah.
Coach Drew talked about it on here too. So, but all of you just have this different perspective on how it went.
Yeah.
But clearly, it's been brought up 4 different times on this podcast.
That's awesome.
Clearly, God was moving, and it's cool how undeniable that moment was for you guys.
And to your point, like these guys remember that, and so when I get even at this age, like that's what makes this such an incredible job. Like I'm so grateful because like it's just awesome. Like wow, like that's cool.
Blessing.
Yeah, blessing, man. Yeah.
It's amazing how the Lord can move through literally anything, whatever profession, whatever sport, whatever it may be. It's amazing. I've seen, I want to say I've seen it all, but then he keeps revealing more, and it's like it's just amazing to hear how a group can come together and see the Lord move in that way, and you can, like, there's something tangible that you can kind of feel. I mean, even in Bible studies that we do, podcasts that we do, where you just know that you're in this together, and it's an unbreakable bond that the Lord has with us, and man, it changes everything. It changes the whole perspective and lights a fire under me, and I know all you guys as well, and just going out to share it, and then that fire spreads, and eventually you see a pretty awesome story and so many testimonies of people who are just on fire. It's amazing how we get to have a role in that process. It blows my mind.
Amen.
And then God can use an orange piece of leather that's filled with air. You
right.
know what I mean? It's like the stupidest thing. Like we play a game, it's like you're going to take this basketball and you're going to put it in this metal ring, and it's ridiculous. But the life lessons and what we get to teach, from the Word of God, and how God will use that, and He does, like He does it with, He could do this with anything that we do, whatever we're called to do. In fact, just even a couple of weeks ago, we got to talk to the guys about the offering we bring to the Lord. We were talking about brothers, so we talked a little bit about Cain and Abel, and it was like, the offering we bring to basketball, like our effort, like that's the offering we get to give to the Lord, and He blesses us in return, and it's like, but we have to bring the right heart and the right approach and mentality. But
Amen.
It's awesome we get to use basketball for those kind of things. So
Sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, as we're getting close to this hour mark here, I do want to ask you about the opportunity to coach your sons. I know you touched on that a little bit. You got to coach Isaiah the last couple of years. He's now killing it at Valpo, and now Caleb's starting to hit the scene here, and you get to coach him. What does that mean to you? And
I can't, guys. Man, it's one of the greatest blessings of my life. It's really. It's hard. Like sometimes as a dad, I get to see him every day, and he comes in, and and I got to be, I don't know if any of our players are listening to this, but like I got to be a little bit careful because I'm dad, but I got to be seen as coach, and so my heart is to go to Caleb and want to talk to him. Hey man, how's you doing? What are you up to, man? You got a girlfriend? Like like or whatever. So like. But it's like with the team, it's like I got to kind of stay back, and I need to be a coach, so I make a conscious effort, like no, I'm going to go talk to Duke. I'm going to leave Caleb alone because but my heart is so full and so proud. You hit all them threes last game.
Yeah.
And, even sitting there, Coach Lindsay will kind of elbow me and like of course. It just feels really good as a dad. And it's tremendous. And it's, and even with Isaiah getting to cheer for him, from a distance, I love that too, because I can criticize his coaches all I want, But it's great. I love it. I'm really thankful that the boys have chosen to come here and want to be a part of what Bryce and I are doing. I mean, that's their uncle too.
Yeah.
And he's hard on them. He coaches them as hard as anybody. Like, he's tough on them. And so we have to do that, hold them at a really high standard, even a higher standard. It's even harder for them. Sure. But what a privilege. And, I'll go back. I'll tell you guys, when those two were little, Isaiah and Caleb, we had 4 kids. All 4, we had 4 under 5 years old. And I remember, gosh, the boys were 4 or 5 years old, and I'd go to practice, and, I'd need to give Dana a break or something. And so I'd be like, I'll take the boy. So I'd have Zay and Caleb at 4 and 5 years old. I'm practicing out there. My Italian coach, is yelling and screaming stuff, and I got the boys on the side in a Spider-Man and a Batman outfit or something, or playing Game Boys. Sure. And, I'd have to be in the middle of practice, but hey, knock it off over there. You guys sit down and be quiet. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what did my coach think? Here I am. So they've been a part of this for a long time, and it's been a great blessing. So it's awesome. Yeah.
Last coach we had on the podcast, I asked him this question. I'm interested to hear your answer. There's a lot of overlap in fatherhood and coaching. Yeah. How has being a father helped you be a coach, and vice versa? How has being a coach helped you be a father?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a way better coach here at GCU than I was at Vanderbilt, and it's specifically for that reason. Okay. Because when I was at Vandy, the boys were my kids are junior high, right? Junior high, kind of going into high school, and I didn't understand. I didn't know what it was like to have a kid who's playing college basketball, and now I do. I didn't know how hard it is on mom and dad. They stress and they worry. Sure. And they pray, and they're, and I also didn't quite understand what the kids go through. Like when I was at Vandy, it's like, oh, these are grown men. He's 20 years old. Like, come on, man. Like, suck it up. Like, come on, act like and it's like, no, Caleb's 21. I think he's 21. He's 21, and it's like he's still a kid. He's a young man, and he'd probably be mad at me for saying it. But man, the struggles, having all this pressure on these guys at this age, I realize it as a dad because now I've got kids this age, and I know what they're going through. Yeah. So it's made me a way better coach because I'm way more patient. I'm way more understanding. I'm way more intentional about building them up when I feel like they need it, and being knowing man, a lot of these guys aren't around their parents, and their parents are your source of encouragement when you're having a really hard day. And so trying to be that, and then being able to intentionally reach out to their parents to say, hey, I know he didn't play as many minutes as you'd like, but listen, he's doing fine. These are the things we're teaching him. These are the things he's getting better at. We're working on him in this area, and he's doing a great job. You'd be so proud of him. Man, I never knew to do that before. I had no idea how to do. It was just like, I'm coaching these pros. Basically.
Right.
So does that make sense? I don't know. It doesn't. You only understand it really when you're like a dad, and then you're kind of like, okay, I kind of get it. So. Real quick story today, actually. This just happened 2 hours ago. We were at practice. Caleb went in, and he missed the layup. And I'm down there, and I got all the guys, tying all the guys are down on the thing. I said, Caleb, I was like, you got to finish that, son. And Tyon hits me right away. He's like, no. He's like, Coach, you can't call him son now. He's like, no special treatment out here on the thing. I said, that's right. I'm going to call all of you guys son because you're all like my sons out here. I get to be your dad. So anyways, it was funny. That just happened today. So
love it.
Very cool. Yeah, it's very cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
One quick thing I wanted to ask before kind of we wrap up here. From a player perspective, so to anybody watching maybe who has aspirations to play college basketball, what from a coaching perspective would make good attributes in a player? What do you want to see someone throughout the recruiting process? What type of attributes are you looking for?
So for me, and I mean, obviously you look for the genetics. I mean,
of course,
to be honest, that's probably 80% of it is how fast do they run, how high can they jump, how long are their arms. I mean, that's just the reality of being at this level of basketball. It's really difficult. We get a lot of kids that think they can come play, and then you go out there and it's like, oh yeah, Tyon's 6'8" and he's got a 7-foot wingspan and he runs faster than anybody and he can put his armpits on the rim. Like that's not, normal humans can't do that.
Right.
So there's that piece. So all right, but after that, the number one thing I look for is a competitive fire that can honestly make up in a lot of ways for the genetic piece.
Sure.
So I'll give you an example. I watched Styles Phipps a lot in high school. He was right here down the road. That kid, he has a fire in his belly. Like he competes. He will show up. He showed up on day one and he was like, I'm guarding Rayshawn Harrison. Like I'm going at him. Like you know what I mean? Like he is not afraid of anybody. Yeah. And I saw that in high school and it was like, okay, yeah, that kid, like he's tough as nails. He works his tail off. He's in the gym all the time. I knew it for his high school coach. I mean, it's like he lived in the gym. Those were two. It was like, yeah, we're going to take that kid because that's what we want in our program. They'll just compete because you got to be able to fight and you got to be able to just like have a desire to just win and like that's it. It's like I'm wanting to win. I'm going to win this possession. I'm going to win this drill. We're going to win this game. And so for me, that's the number one thing. I think after that, like you watch little things like how do they interact with their coaches? How do they interact with their teammates? Those are really important details. That's even more important than how many rebounds they get. Because a lot of times all these guys dominate in high school. So like whatever. Like I'm not necessarily looking for that. We need guys that will come in and can be coachable with Coach Drew. Can adapt and will just compete. Like. You gotta be tough and you gotta fight and you gotta love it. You gotta step on those lines and be like, all right, I'm ready to go. So and I feel like we got guys that do that. I love this team. We got a lot of fighters. Challenge your listeners to next time they watch a game, just count how many times Duke Brennan hits the floor or gets hit in the face or like something like.
Trooper.
We got some warriors.
No doubt about it. Yeah. All right, Coach, this has been awesome. Last question. How far are the Lopes going this year?
Well, I think this team, I'll be honest, I mean, been around basketball a long time. I mean, I've, even when I didn't coach, I've been a part of, Baylor, I'm part of the family. So it's like I've been at all his Elite Eight games, Final Four, the national championship game. I was there. Seeing all the success Bryce has had, we have the talent to win, to get past the first weekend in this tournament.
Yeah.
And maybe more depending on how we come. But this is a team, we have the most important key. We are old, we are talented, and we've got some fighters who've been through it and have incredible experience. But there's always things that can derail you, and that's the thing as a coach is we have to figure out how do we push out any type of selfishness or lack of confidence, like those things, and get guys together and on the same page. We won 30 games last year.
Yeah.
We brought everybody back except probably one of our biggest pieces, which was Gabe, who was an incredible leader and did so much for us. But I love what Kobe brings. I think Luke has stepped up to take on a new challenge. Duke has gotten better. Rayshawn and Tyon, they have something to prove as well because this is their chance to get to the next level. Sure. And then I love our young players with Makai, Caleb, Styles, Sammy, and Austin. I've never had a better group of freshmen, and that includes our year at Vanderbilt when we had Darius Garland, who was the fourth pick. We had Simi Shatu, who was a McDonald's All-American, and we had Aaron Neesmith, who's still in the NBA and playing there. Those were our three freshmen we had that we recruited. I love this freshman group that we have with Styles and Austin and Sammy. We got a great young nucleus. We got some depth, so we've got the pieces. Lord willing, let's stay healthy and ask God to give us some wins on the scoreboard, on the court, and off the court in these young guys' hearts and lives.
Well said.
Amen.
Love that answer right there. That fires me up, just like this entire episode did.
Yep.
Thank you so
This
much
is a lot
for
of fun.
coming on.
Thanks, you guys. This is an honor to be here. Really privileged, grateful for you guys and what you do and the message you're putting out there. It's awesome, guys. I love it. So thank you.
Thanks so much. All right. Well, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. There's no way you turned this episode off. It was awesome from the beginning to the end. So thanks so much for following us as always. 40 episodes. Thanks so much for the support, and we hope that you continue to keep this walk going with the Lord, because each guest that comes on here continues to tell you, continues to give you testimonies that it's the only way. It's the only way to keep moving. So thanks so much. See you next time. Love y'all.